talking a little QB battle and who's really under the most pressure next year.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is thankful for you guys. Always. We're always thankful for you. You everydayers make us feel so special every day. And you newbies, you make us feel special today. And thank you for joining us every single day and making us your first listen every day. Jimmy, I want to get into something that Ari Wasserman and Andy Staples said with Paul Feinbaum about who's under the most pressure between Kalen DeBoer and Hugh Freeze in just a minute. But, I think it is fitting that we start talking a little bit more about this quarterback battle. You're seeing some reports come out that really all three are playing pretty well. It does still feel like Ty Simpson's job to lose, but it feels like to me there's also a pecking order right now of Ty Simpson, Keelan Russell, and then Austin Mack. I'm not shortchanging Austin Mack. I'd be fine if it were Austin Mack. I don't want people to think I don't like him. I'm just saying that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, I don't know that this qualifies as scoop. Because it is and it isn't. It is word from those close to the situation, and this is it. Now, no one's going to wreck their car with this proclamation I'm about to make. But I hear Ty's doing really well. Now, what does that mean? Y'all decide that. I'm not telling y'all what it means, but I do know that Ty's doing well. That's not to indicate that the others are not. I just know Ty's doing well. And I think that's significant news, though. And this is why. Because as we talked about the entire offseason, Luke and I, it only made sense on day one of spring practice. And now I think today was something like the sixth or seventh. It only made sense that day one, the starting quarterback was Ty Simpson. If Alabama didn't practice on day one, but had a game against a real opponent on day one of spring practice, Alabama's starting quarterback would have been Ty Simpson, right? So Ty is QB1, and we hear he's doing well. I think that's significant because if I wasn't here to tell you guys that, what if I said the opposite? That would really open the door, wouldn't it? So it seems to me that so far, Ty hasn't exactly flung open the gates for Austin Mack and Keelan Russell to sprint through. Ty's doing well. Now, we'll really know more Thursday of this week. Thursday is the first scrimmage. That is very much like a midterm in college. These kids are in college, right? And then you study and you might take a pop quiz, and you study and you might take a pop quiz. But what really matters is midterms, like a real test that's going to help determine your grade. That's what a scrimmage at the stadium is. And the first one is Thursday of this week. The second one will be April 4th, which is Friday of next week. So, we'll really know something then because it'll be clear from the reps with the ones and the twos what the situation sort of is, though you still can't make too much of that. But it is insightful, and we'll know more.
Yeah, and look, it really, like you said, it's not groundbreaking news. It's just there are probably some folks who wanted to see Austin Mack make a move or Keelan Russell make a move. And right now, Ty Simpson feels like he's in the lead, but we knew that probably was going to be regardless. I think we might know a little bit more after this scrimmage on Thursday. I'm certainly looking forward to that. And I want to talk some more recruiting in the second segment. But, I thought I'd dedicate the rest of this segment to Andy Staples, and I think it's Ari Wasserman. They do a podcast. They have Paul Feinbaum on it, and the question was, who's under more pressure? Is it Kalen DeBoer or is it Hugh Freeze?
Yeah.
And they Feinbaum apparently said, well, in some ways it's Kalen DeBoer. Now, first of all, that's kind of a cop-out. I like Feinbaum. I think he's good at what he does, and now that we do a lot of this stuff, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to get more listeners, and some people look at that as such a negative thing. Well, it's very positive for him. So I understand it.
Sort of helps put butter on our bread table.
Exactly.
We need butter to go with the bread. So
In
the more
fact, we have a whole table dedicated to bread.
the
That's
more
how much.
the
That's how
more
much we're
listen.
making from this.
It is funny that you put it that way. The more listeners, the better for the host.
Yeah.
So we should
But I
get
mean,
that.
it's funny because people say, "Oh, he's just clickbait." Yeah, that's kind of what he wants. I mean, you call it clickbait if you want to. He just likes to call them clicks. But um,
Even newspapers have headlines, or,
exactly.
or they used to
So,
back in the old newspaper days.
but I think if you really were to get Feinbaum or anybody down in the South, and especially in Alabama, they'd say clearly the more pressure is on Hugh Freeze. Now there'll be some people that'll say it's Kalen DeBoer because Alabama expects more and Alabama fans are crazy, blah blah blah. I get that. That you can make that make sense to me. However, I'll say this: define. I guess the better thing to do is define pressure. Is the pressure to win a national championship more on Kalen DeBoer or Hugh Freeze? Well, I think the pressure to win a national championship is clearly more on Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah,
because agreed. Alabama has more of a shot to. Is the
it's
pressure
sort of
more,
the standard? It's the standard set by Nick Saban.
Is the pressure more to not have a losing season? Well, I don't think anybody in the world thinks Alabama's going to have a losing season, so I think that's sort of a silly thing to ask. But Auburn's had a few in a row, so yeah, if Hugh Freeze can't improve his record pretty significantly, like get to 9 wins, I think he's going to be in some serious hot water. I mean, if he only gets to 8 wins this year, again, with their schedule, it's at Baylor. That's not much. Yeah, they do. They welcome in Bama and Georgia, 2 of the giants in the SEC. But my guess is right now they probably beat one of them. That's my guess. They should. I would think fans think they should win. Auburn fans believe that. And here's another thing. I think if I'm an Auburn fan, and if people still say there's more pressure on Kalen DeBoer than Hugh Freeze, I'm insulted. Because I'm like, so you're telling me like we don't care if we have much better than a losing record again? No, right. I think that's just I think that was Paul Feinbaum's way of creating some controversy. I'm not mad at him about it. I swear. I'm just saying that I don't think he really believes that because clearly, in my opinion, the pressure is more on Hugh Freeze. Some people may not believe that. I do.
I agree with Luke that if you just ask me the general question without context, who's under more pressure, Hugh Freeze or Kalen DeBoer, my answer would be Hugh Freeze because he's been at Auburn longer. The results have not been good so far. And eventually, if the results stay the same again, he's going to be fired. So I think the answer is Hugh Freeze. But I do know where Paul is coming from this angle. And it makes sense to me that the answer might be DeBoer. Hugh Freeze can improve his standing with the Auburn program and not make the playoff. I think if Hugh wins 8 games or even 7 games, which includes a couple of big wins, if Hugh wins 8 games or 9 games and does not make the playoff, his stock may be rising in the eyes of Auburn fans. Winning 7, 8, or 9 games at Alabama this fall is not going to raise Kalen DeBoer's stock with Alabama fans. I think DeBoer is under more pressure to make the playoff this upcoming season, and Hugh Freeze doesn't necessarily have playoff pressure. He's got, you must clearly demonstrate the program is now improving under your leadership type pressure. So I think they're both under pressure. My answer is Hugh Freeze, just like yours, Luke, but I do think Kalen DeBoer is under some level of pressure to make the playoff.
Sure.
And don't think for one second that I'm advocating, nor even predicting that if he doesn't, he would be fired. I don't believe that, not in a million years. But I do think if Alabama doesn't make the playoff this upcoming fall, there will be a lot of fans who are very vocally off the bandwagon. That will happen.
That's fair.
And that's a start to some trouble. It's the start of potential trouble if that happens. I don't think he would be in any trouble with the administration or at least one of the hosts of Locked on Bama if he doesn't make the playoff this year. But it would start getting loud if he doesn't.
Well, the question is, who's under more pressure? Not is either one of them under no pressure.
Yeah,
Look, by
right.
definition, the Alabama coaching job is rife with pressure. But the question is who's under more pressure.
I say Hugh.
I think
You say
that
who?
the answer of Alabama of Kalen DeBoer is insulting to both Alabama fans and Auburn fans, frankly.
Yeah,
And
it
I think
should be Hugh.
again, that's
Should be
what
Hugh.
Paul Feinbaum's aiming for.
Hugh
Because
didn't just get here.
Yeah.
He didn't just get here. Kalen just got here.
Yeah.
It is Hugh. Hugh needs. I mean, if I'm an Auburn guy, I'm like, all right, Hugh, honeymoon over.
Yeah.
Let's show that has Hugh Freeze demonstrated so far that he's the right hire, the right guy at Auburn. I would say so far, no. Should he have been given this year? Yes. But I think he's got to show clear evidence that Auburn is headed in the correct or right direction under his leadership. If he doesn't show that this year, I mean, how long is Auburn going to give him? I don't know.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, and that's Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from more than 400 brands, I guess, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, so why not you? Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code HS5 for 5% off the first order. That's supplyhouse.com, of course. Okay, let's talk a little recruiting. Alabama's had a bunch of people in recently. Xavier Crowell is not the least of which. And it sounds like, I mean, I'm following him on Twitter, and yeah, that may seem weird as a 52-year-old man, but I do. And he seems to be.
Are you following any other Jackson High School students on Twitter? Is he the only one?
That would be the weirder part, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think it's
Not
cool. It's cool if he's the only one, but if it's like several, then that would be questionable.
He seems to. I mean, he's not committed. He feels committed. I'm not saying he's committed. I'm just saying it feels that way. And then there's a bunch of other guys. You and I were texting back and forth before the show. Abrams, Utu, help me out, Jimmy. Who
Anthony Davis, the linebacker from Loganville.
It looks good with him. I mean, Alabama feels a lot better there. Zakai Hilton, or is it Zeke? Is it Zeke?
Can we go with Z? I bet that's what they call it. I don't know his nickname, but surely it's Z, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then all those guys. Tell us about them, Jimmy.
Yeah, Helton was committed to the last staff. And pretty interesting story here. Helton was committed to the last staff, the Saban staff, as a very young center prospect, which is so cool and unusual. I think he's Juju's center. Isn't that right? Juju Lewis's center, maybe. And he's committed to the last staff and got sick. And I don't know I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate, but he got sick and he lost a lot of weight. This was already a center. So, he's not 330. This is like a 255-pound ninth grader who got really sick, got all the way down to the 220s. And the new staff came in and they're like, well, we got to take a look at these guys already committed. And they're looking at Helton and he's 220 and he's sick. And they're like, whoa, let's just kind of see how this goes. Now Helton gained all the weight back. He's perfectly healthy. He's gained all the weight back quickly. Looks really good. He's going to come on an official visit. So the new staff is really interested in Zyke Helton, who was committed to Alabama and is an Alabama fan. He's also got official visits lined up like to Georgia and Florida. This is a legit SEC guy, and he likes Alabama. So we need to keep an eye on him. He's been committed to Alabama before, clearly likes Alabama, and the new staff and him are sort of now hitting it off. I think the two linebackers are so similar. I'll talk about them together. Nick Abrams and Anthony Davis. Nick Abrams is from Maryland, I believe, and Anthony Davis is from the Atlanta area. They're off-ball inside linebackers, extremely similar. When you watch them on tape, you kind of think you might be looking at the same guy. And I mean that as a compliment. To me, they're both slam dunk national top 250 guys that would have an argument to be top 100 guys nationally, but I think top 250 is certainly where you go with both of them. Again, off-ball athletic linebackers in the new age of linebacker. You know, they're cover guy. They're sort of big-ass safeties, which is what you're looking for now at inside linebacker. So I like Abrams and Anthony Davis, who both like Alabama a lot. We're mentioning them because these are possible guys that could end up in the Alabama class. Utu, you know, we've mentioned him a few times. He's the guy that's got 17 U's in his name. He's from California, I think. He liked Alabama a ton on his visit, was extremely complimentary of Alabama in an interview that I think Blake Byler did, Byler or Bone did on BOL. You should check that out because this kid raved about Alabama. He's a really good national prospect. Again, probably a top 250 type guy, which again, we've talked about on the show before. I call top 100 guys elite. I call top 250 guys blue chippers. They're exactly what you want. You're not going to live in a world where the only guys you get are top 100 guys. No one's ever done that. No one ever will do that. If that's your idea of recruiting well, then maybe follow another sport because that's not going to happen in football. What you want is several top 100 guys and fill in with top 250 guys and maybe a handful of dudes outside that list that you think, hey, I think this dude's a real player, and maybe the industry's missed on him a little bit, but we love him. That's how you fill a 25-man recruiting class and sign a top 5 class. But Utu is a top 250 type guy, maybe arguably top 100. He loved Alabama on his visit. Hey, shout out to DeBoer and Courtney Morgan, who have created a visit experience for these kids, and they leave raving. And we just experienced the Nick Saban era. We're not new to recruiting well, to say the least. I think these kids in the last couple of classes have been even more complimentary of Alabama visits than they were under Saban. They come away from Tuscaloosa raving. That's a credit to DeBoer, Courtney Morgan, and Courtney's staff, who has built this visit experience for these kids.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if Kalen DeBoer is doing the Cupid Shuffle with him. I think that's helping.
You know, the weird thing here is you would think he's the far more likely guy to do that between him and Saban. And I think the real answer is he's actually not. Actually was Saban, who would be all business up until the kid says, Coach, I'll commit here if you do the Cupid Shuffle. Then he was going to do the Cupid Shuffle. If that's what the request was, to get the commitment. Nick's going to do the Macarena if that's what it takes to get a kid. I think DeBoer is just, you know, he's a player's coach for sure. I think the recruits sense that. They sense that they like him. I bet this, Luke. I don't think any prospect leaves Tuscaloosa. I think they all say, I would play for that guy. No one, I don't think, leaves go. I don't think anyone leaves going, I just don't like DeBoer. I doubt that's happened.
Some kind of hokey dance.
I can't see him doing it. He's got daughters, so you know, he might be. Heck, there might be some TikToks out there of DeBoer somewhere.
Oh, please! I wonder what kind of shirt he's wearing. Sorry, I don't mean to stir up anything. All right, Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, hey, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, or going to the Dominican Republic, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized how much I was spending on food delivery. Now, I'm budgeting smarter and I'm saving more. I need to. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com with 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege. Get 50% off that first year, man. I'm giving you all the stuff you need to be appreciative.
That is a good deal.
That is a good deal. A few little notes here. First of all, how about a shout out to Sarah Ashley Barker, 45 points in an NCAA tournament game. It's the fourth most, I think, in NCAA tournament history in a single game. pretty impressive. Now, Alabama didn't win. I know, and there are people who say, well, they didn't win. It doesn't matter if she scored any points. Okay.
That's a terrible take.
She did all she could. She worked her tail off, and appreciate Sarah Ashley Barker.
A lot of people have takes on that game and not watching. I watched every minute of it. It was probably the most exciting women's basketball game I've ever seen. But I hope Alabama fans know before they comment and say something negative about the game that Alabama's 3 best players, other than Sarah Ashley, the 3 best players, take her out, the 3 best players all fouled out. Sarah and the officiating on Maryland's home court in the NCAA tournament, and Alabama's got 3 girls fouling out, and Maryland would just come barreling down the lane with, just anyway. The officiating was a little frustrating, but her performance was heroic, and I would rank it among the best performances by an Alabama athlete in a big sporting event I've ever seen, all sports included.
That's very cool. Very happy for her, even though her career at Alabama's done. I think Alabama women's team is still on the uptick. It's a slow burn. It's not going to be a meteoric rise. It's a slow burn, but I think it's on the uptick. And look, I hate to be this way. I mean, of course, if we're playing, I want Alabama to win. But I'm sort of like this with baseball, even though now I'm greedy because we've turned out to be pretty good. Even though we lost 2 out of 3 to the number 1 team in the country, Tennessee's awesome, and we lost 2 or 3 to them. Okay, I'll take that. I just said I didn't want to get swept. My take on a lot of some sports like that is, hey, look, you don't have to win the national championship. You don't have to win the SEC. Just don't be embarrassing. And then I will hope for the best. But as long as you're not embarrassing, I think we can all be like, okay, we can give this time. And the softball doesn't have that luxury because softball was the king of the king, queen of the queens, forever. And now they've kind of come back a little. And so people are harder on Coach Pat Murphy, and they probably shouldn't be because it's not like Alabama's embarrassing in softball. We're still really good. Same thing with gymnastics. It's not necessarily that we're not awesome anymore, but we're pretty good. We just got NCAAs, didn't we?
Yeah, with the 11th national seed. I mean, obviously that's not as great as it once was, perhaps, but being the 11th best team in the country in your worst season in a while, when you lost your best senior before the year started and replaced her with a true freshman and still finished 11th, in your down year, that's pretty good. And yeah, I could definitely do probably a 20-minute rant about that. We don't have time for that. But where I get frustrated is the fans that want to hold these type sports to a super high standard, which is, hey, number 11 gymnastics, that's not good enough. What do you mean softball? You lost 2 of 3 in these SEC series to these SEC. That's not good enough. Let me just tell y'all, to make these coaching changes and to raise the standard higher than it is, which means to you, we must be top 5. That's going to cost a couple $1 million. So what you're saying is take $2 million away from football. Take $2 million that's earmarked for football and go spend it on women's basketball because we don't like losing in the second round of the NCAA tournament, or we don't like the fact that Pat Murphy hasn't won the World Series, though he's been there 4 of the past 5 years.
Which you would never do, by the way, which no one would ever do if it was just like, hey, we need $2 million to help so-and-so out. Hey, look, I'm going to tell y'all another story really quickly. I know this. It came from I'm not going to go into specifics, but I know this to be true, that there was I'll just call it a women's sport that is relatively popular. And the coach came to a booster, a friend of the program, and said, this is during the NIL era, so it's not anything nefarious. It was like, look, we really need some help here. And this guy was like, look, I'm tapped out a little bit from football. I'm doing
football.
And she said, look, all we need is just help with this one girl. If you can help us get this one girl. And he said, look, humor me and tell me how much you're talking about, but I'm probably going to say no. She said, we need $2,500. And he was like, yeah, I can do that. $2,500. And he was like, yeah, I can do that. Now, that was years ago. I mean, maybe 3 years ago. Times have changed. And I'm sure things cost more, just like the price of everything's gone up. But what I'm saying is that some of these women's sports can turn on a dime like literally, like 2,500 of them, or 25,000 of them, or whatever. But so let's give Christy Curry some time. Let's give Pat Murphy a lot of grace.
Pat Murphy can be at Alabama as long as he wants,
in my opinion. But look, I really want to talk basketball. And I really want to talk basketball in the sense that there was another article, and we know how awesome it is to be an Alabama fan right now. Texas job opened. There were some people worried that they may come after Nate Oates. It came out today that they made some inquiries in Nate Oates, and it was basically thanks but no thanks. That's where Alabama is right now, by the way.
That's amazing when you think about it. And I'm not amazed if they called. Of course they would call. If I was Texas, that's who I might call first.
That's my first call.
But it's just a call. And the fact that Nate Oates 2 years in a row, last year was Kentucky, now it's Texas. The fact Nate Oates is like still at Alabama. I mean, Texas is a great job with resources Alabama can only dream of. And Nate Oates, where's he going to be coaching next year? Well, not in Austin, probably in Tuscaloosa. That's amazing.
Why on earth would you throw in probably? Just say Tuscaloosa.
Because I've always said, and I know it's a bummer to say it this way, I've always said, I think when Nate leaves, it will be for the NBA, and I don't know when that will happen. My guess is it's down the road, but I think Nate will one day leave for an NBA job. I don't know when that is, but I think it's down the road when his kids are a little older, but I don't know.
So anyway, one thing I wanted to talk about basketball. Look, we're all excited about BYU Bama. It's the first game. It's at 6:09 on Thursday. It's the first game of the Sweet 16. That's fantastic. That's awesome. Looking forward to it. Then, the possibility of playing Duke is super cool. But I read an article today, or I didn't read an article. I'll take that back. I saw on Twitter where Stephen A. Smith came out and said the NCAA is killing itself because there are no Cinderellas. And without Cinderellas, the NCAA tournament sucks and blah, blah, blah. And all I did was look, and the very next tweet was something like NCAA tournament viewership way up this year. And you know why it's way up? Because it's something I've always said.
The brands are winning.
The brands are winning. Forget Cinderella. Why do y'all care? Why do y'all want McAdoo State A&M Tech to get to the Final Four?
And Arkansas is a 10. Arkansas is a 10. That's not low enough.
Exactly. We can have Cinderellas that we also know are true schools. By the way, St. Francis, PA, that got into the tournament this year, in my opinion, they shouldn't be in the tournament, but they got in because they won their tournament, which is a stupid rule, but whatever. They dropped down from Division I to Division III today, apparently. That's maybe up your point. I'm hoping I wasn't hoaxed, but I didn't even read the article. I just saw that and was so giddy about it. I was like, I hope I'm not hoaxed.
It could have been a relegation hoax tweet.
It could have been. But my point is this. See, Arkansas is your Cinderella. Just let them be your Cinderella. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? It doesn't have to be Colorado. Are you more excited as a basketball fan? Tell me the truth now. And Jimmy, don't answer. I want somebody in their car or wherever they're watching this answer this. If you're in your car, I hope you're not driving. That would you rather watch Florida play Maryland or Florida play Colorado State? Which one would you rather see? And I can tell you which one I would rather see, the one that has two teams playing that have won national championships in the last like 25 years or whatever. That has Florida has the odds-on favorite to win the thing this year. Maryland has one of the best freshmen in the country in Derek Queen. They both have great coaches. They both come from big conferences. It's a fun thing. How many of you out there know what conference Colorado State's in?
And it's frustrating to me to repeatedly read NIL has killed the Cinderella. NIL's been here since 2021. San Diego State was in the final like 700 days ago. Like 700 days ago, with NIL being the number one factor in basketball recruiting, San Diego State was in the final. So let's go a few cycles of the same thing happening before we decide that Cinderellas and so mid-majors are dead. And if they are, they are.
So what?
It should be about the best teams, whoever the best teams are.
Would you, it's sort of like, if you love cheering for underdogs, why don't you go see the new Snow White? Nobody's watching that thing. Go see it. It's an underdog to win the Oscar. If you want to go do that.
That's such a shame. That Ziegler girl is a fantastic actress. She really is good.
Jimmy, please, why did you kick open that?
She's a great actress. I saw her in West Side Stories. Everybody agree that's a good one? She was
No.
great in that. Oh,
She is
I watch a lot of
patently
movies.
unlikable for a lot of reasons.
Rachel Ziegler?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, she's a fantastic actress.
Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on a Snow White thing. Please, nobody run off with that.
No, I haven't seen it. No, I'm not going to go see it. I just know Rachel Ziegler is a good
you're not
actress who
gonna
can really
nobody
sing.
else's either. But my point is,
That's a good point.
If you know what, let me think. Colorado State is Snow White. Nobody wants to see that either. I mean, Colorado State fans do, and that's wonderful. And I'm not trying to be mad at them. And I understand where some of these basketball people who only watch basketball for 3 weeks out of the year are coming from. Like, they love the drama of these buzzer beaters and the little guy beating the big guy. But in this case, wasn't Arkansas a little guy beating a big guy? This is the same Arkansas team that started off 0-5 in the SEC. Why can't they be the Cinderella? Why can't they be it?
If the two favorites are Duke and Florida and they're playing in the championship game, the ratings are going to be huge. And I'll be watching. I'm going to watch that, not Snow White. I'm going to watch Duke, Florida. I'm not going to see Snow White. I don't care if Rachel Ziegler's singing the parts of Snow White and the mean queen person.
What were the?
I frankly don't know we talk about fairy tales all the time. I frankly don't know them well.
Well, look at this. The UConn San Diego State National Championship. It averaged 7.8 and 14.69 million viewers. Okay,
way more people watch things like Severance than that.
Yeah. Down. By the way, let me tell you something. Down 15% and 14% in ratings and 14% in viewership from the Kansas North Carolina game on TBS. It was on TBS, and the Kansas North Carolina game was on TBS, which is harder to get. It's easy to get now. We all know how to do all these different channels. But CBS is like still over the airwaves, like put up rabbit ears. You can still get it.
It is weird that TBS would televise a national championship game in a major sport like that. That is weird.
But my point is this, that everybody loves a Cinderella until we got to watch one. San Diego State gets in and we're like,
it'd be on CBS if they thought the ratings would deserve it. But apparently CBS gets more people watching, they're I think they have mostly sitcoms on Monday night. CBS does. I guess they figure we'll get higher ratings with people watching the sitcoms that run every Monday night as opposed to the college national championship game.
You misheard me. TBS had the North Carolina Kansas game.
Okay.
CBS had this San Diego State UConn game the year
after, and got fewer viewers.
A lot less viewership. That's what I'm saying. It makes it a lot worse.
That makes your point a grand slam home run.
And so everybody loves a Cinderella until you got to watch one on TV. You love them in your brackets. You love them because it's kind of fun to pick one and say, "Ooh, I knew Hofstra was going to beat."
I've made that same point in football for years. Everyone used to get I don't want to see Alabama, Ohio State. I don't want to see Clemson. I don't want to see Georgia. We need new blood. If the national championship college football game was NC State versus Washington State, it would get the lowest ratings of all time. That would be the lowest rated game. That's the game that everybody says they want, but then it would be on and the ratings would be terrible.
The tank. So anyway, all right, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.